All right, Ohio becomes the next ground zero for removing the cancer of fraud. Let's check it out. Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. It all started in Minneapolis, right? In a scandal that ended the career of Governor Tim Walz. A scandal graphically showed Americans how little Washington cares about protecting all the money that they take out of your wallet every year. This week, this story has moved to Ohio, and specifically to Columbus, small city, but another major hub for Somali migrants. And a Medicaid scandal there broken by the Daily Wire. Just one example of the scale. This rundown commercial building that holds 94 different Medicaid companies in just that little commercial building in a small American city. This modest building loaded with fake businesses that have stolen $66 million from the American taxpayer in just a few years. The whole building's only worth about $3 million. And just like we saw with the Somali fraud in Minneapolis, the windows are blacked out, as you would expect. Take a listen to this from Luke Rosiak, the reporter breaking open another massive fraud scandal.
No windows on the outside helps hide the fact that there's nobody inside, but when you go in, it's really obvious. The place is deserted. It's downright creepy. There is no one in any of the offices. They're dark. Curtains are drawn. Some of them have notes that are like, "We'll be back in a few minutes," and you can tell it's been that way for months.
It's just surreal to realize that this is all around the country. How many times did we listen to Joe Biden and Democrats shame Americans to pay their fair share in taxes, bullying, insulting prosperous, hardworking Americans for not sending more money to the government? And this is what they do with it. They import millions of third world migrants, many of whom came ready to scam the country that was supposed to save them. From the Daily Wire, nearly every owner of home health care companies in Columbus, Ohio, appears to be foreign. They live in a parallel society where every associate in public records also has a foreign name, and all their business transactions are conducted with other foreigners. They all share combinations of just a few names, like Ahmed Mohammed and Mohammed Ahmed. And many of them list their birthday as January 1 because their birthdays are unknown. The business model is simple. A 40-year-old Somali immigrant gets paid for spending time with and maybe cooking for his own 65-year-old mother. This is how you get paid by the government to just live at home. The middleman is one of thousands of home health firms that have NPI numbers necessary to bill Medicaid. The 40-year-old, likely Somali, becomes an employee of the company that has no clients other than his own mom. And the money just starts pouring in, thousands of dollars a month. The simplicity of scamming the U.S. government is frankly terrifying. In fact, we are now famous for being very easy to con in places you would never expect, as explained in a congressional hearing last week.
More than once, I heard an owner or employee respond when we asked where they first learned about the daycare scam. They would say they had first heard about it while in the refugee camp in Kenya. These individuals told us that they had heard you could run the scam in a number of different states, but it was easiest and you could make the most money doing it in Minnesota.
Just want to make sure you process that. In refugee camps on the other side of the world, African refugees, migrants with very limited education, are talking about how easy it is to scam the U.S. government and steal your money, and the places in which it is easiest to do and easiest to get the most money. Places like that on the screen are laughing about how easy it is to steal all the money that the government forces you to pay in taxes every year. How this happened? Well, Democrats looking to make it as easy as possible to attach people to our welfare system, because that's all they seem to want to do, is get as many people on the dole as possible. That desire, a desire to secure their vote forever, created this system. If you take government assistance in this country, you are a reliable blue vote. And that's exactly how we got here. They made it as easy as possible to get on the dole, to take money from the federal government, because once you start taking that money, you're always going to vote for them. So they removed all the restrictions, especially in a blue state like Minnesota, and as we're seeing, even in a red state with a kind of crappy rhino governor like Mike DeWine in Ohio. That's how we got here. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, the health secretary, explains just how bad it has gotten in really blue states like New York. The size of the scam is insane in New York, and we're hopeful to see some better reporting come out of this state. 171 home health aides, that's what they call them. You sign up, you take care of mom, and you get paid thousands a month just to live at home and be a bum. 171 home health aides in the state of New York per 1,000 residents. That triples the national average. We're sending money to 171 out of every 1,000 homes in the state so that some scammer can lay around the house and just get paid free money. The majority of these are scams. Take a listen to Kennedy.
The biggest job in New York, 650,000 people, the biggest employment niche is home care. These are family members who are getting paid to do things that they used to do as family members for free. This is rife with fraud because we have no way at CMS to determine whether they actually perform that duty or not. And it's one of the reasons that Medicaid doubled during the Biden administration, because we are paying for fraud now as much as for medicine.
Medicaid doubled during the Biden administration. The amount, I mean, can you fathom? Imagine being in a business and a $500 billion line item just doubles and nobody in your business cares. That's the reality of government, and they want more of your money. Medicaid doubled under Biden. Just a reminder of that. We're spending just as much on fraud as we are on medicine in Medicaid, according to Kennedy. And he's pointing out that hundreds of hospices, as we've seen, have been shut down in L.A. Another side of this skin has just been hospices, fake hospices everywhere. Los Angeles had hundreds of them. Hundreds of them were shut down, and they didn't see one single solitary complaint from a legitimate person that was using those hospices about losing their benefits.
We've already shut down 500 hospices in Los Angeles. Incidentally, we haven't had one call from Congress or anybody else about complaining because clearly these were fraudulent. They were going and giving people in poor neighborhoods flat screen televisions, $600, and then they would enlist them enroll them in the hospice, and we were paying them $6,000.
This is the amount of fraud in the country. You got groups of people giving poor people flat screen TVs, just buying them in bulk, handing them out to poor people so that they can enlist them with their name and address as hospice patients who are dying, and then taking thousands from the government to care for them. So you spend $600, you get thousands back. It's kind of like an everybody wins except us kind of scam. Back in Ohio, Rhino Governor Mike DeWine with a mediocre response to the fraud report in his state. Upon review of this article, the article does not seem to allege any fraud in the details provided, DeWine says, based on the legal definition of fraud. Ohio Medicaid's home and company-based services exist to help individuals who can no longer safely perform daily tasks, such as dressing, bathing, or eating, remain in their homes rather than enter far more expensive nursing facilities. Family caregivers are allowed under federal rules, but must meet federal documentation and oversight requirements. I wonder what the oversight is. If you just say that you're taking care of somebody in your house, what is that oversight? You promise? Do you have to just promise every year with a little check mark on a piece of paper to continue getting $20,000 or $30,000 in tax-free cash? What's that oversight? He doesn't explain it. You know it's not very substantial. The government does not care about stopping fraud. That's the point. And the truth is, without the pressure from independent journalists like this, our leaders would never care at all. They only care right now because their careers are threatened by this. Just ended Tim Walz's career. In Minnesota, that state that became the epicenter of government fraud and waste, Senator Amy Klobuchar now wants to run the state. A woman who sat back and said nothing as Medicaid doubled in 4 years, as this scam took over her state, as everybody seemed to know this was going on, especially in blue states. Now she's claiming, like so many other Democrats, she's going to be a leader on preventing fraud.
You are right to be angry about the fraud. It is unacceptable and it must end. On day one, I will begin a top to bottom audit of our state government. That audit will look at state agencies to identify waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yeah, I trust her. I think she's going to do a fantastic job. Investigative reporter Luke Rosiak joins us now. Parker Thayer is also an investigative researcher. They worked together on this, and they did a fantastic job. Guys, good to have you. Luke, you've got a new piece, 7 buildings, 288 Medicaid companies, $250 million. This is a look at Ohio, but more specifically, the small city of Columbus, which has less than 1 million people in it. I want to show a clip from your investigation. Take a look.
Your parents raise you when you're young for free, and when they get old, you help them because you love them, right?
Well, the government didn't pay me to do it. People see that as lucrative.
So I noticed that you guys had gotten $10 million in Medicaid.
I can't tell you anything.
What exactly goes into a home health care business?
Don't need you guys. You guys are racist people.
Oh, of course you're racist, right? You probably expected that. You say you've never seen fraud like this before, Luke. Explain.
Yeah, we're talking about billions with a B. Anyone who's ever been to the doctor and seen the bill they submit to the insurance for something as simple as an x-ray could be thousands of dollars. So Medicaid is a huge section of the federal budget. And when DOGE was really active, a lot of people, especially on the left, said, why are you even bothering? Most of the federal budget is non-discretionary. It's things like Medicaid that are basically off the table. But it's not off the table if it's waste. It's not off the table if it's fraud. And that's actually where the real meat and potatoes of the money is. Yeah. So it was incredible when DOGE disclosed this data. It was a real feat of government transparency, more than anything Barack Obama ever did, to show us this data, not about patients who are receiving medical care, but about corporations getting paid millions of dollars. And then that's the only way you can cross-check it and be like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Because until now, it's been a black box where it's actually impossible to even prove fraud. And I guess that's how some people liked it. That's such a great nod to what DOGE really was. And that's something that I think was gone far too soon that we should have all embraced. But it was ridiculous how they fought that, and just so sad. Parker, Ohio's Medicaid website, there's these waivers that can be applied for to get this home care, to get paid basically to take care of someone in your home, which is obviously the easiest thing in the world to scam. Is there any real oversight of this that you could find?
It's funny. They mentioned that they have an electronic verification system in their statement that they just released. And on the same website where they talk about this electronic verification system, they also give you step-by-step instructions for how to turn off the GPS verification system that they brag about. The Ohio AG was complaining not all that long ago about how he was confused why they were getting rid of the safeguards in the system and begging lawmakers to turn them back on. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of verification going on here at all. Yeah, that's exactly what I would expect, is that the government makes it really easy to take money and everybody's just like, okay, fine. Because it's not anybody's money, right? When it's all of our money, it's not anybody's money. And so nobody really cares, which is the saddest thing about all this. Luke, as far as the reaction to this, I mean, you were labeled racist there for a second. This is what it's been called by so many on the left as this investigative reporting has come out. There's nothing racist about it. We flat out have a problem with people from some places of the world coming in here and just going bananas on our system.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of disturbed when the guy in that clip said that people would only take care of their own families if they were paid by the government. Because Parker and I pressed him and he acknowledged it's really only an hour or two a day that you'd be caring for your elderly relative. So it's not as if you can quit your job and just do that. Yeah. It's just extra cash on the side for doing something that, unless you're a monster, you would be doing anyway, which is stop by your mom's house, maybe help her cook a meal or vacuum the carpet. Yeah. That's why I call this butlers for Somalis, because in the best case scenario, you're having somebody that isn't related to you coming to your house and performing basic services that are totally unverifiable unless we have cameras in every house of the country, which we don't want. Worst case, you're getting paid to hang out with your own family members. which there's just no reason we should be doing that. It's rewarding people that are actually not very nice people at all, and it's going to bankrupt the country.
Yeah. People. The sickest thing is that these are people that said that, oh, I'm a refugee. I need, please save me. And then they come here and they steal from us, and then they call you racist when you expose it. And it's everywhere. It's daycares, it's home health. It's hospice. It's just surreal how easy we've made it. Luke and Parker, guys, good. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Great job. We love it. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Jason Rantz, host of the Jason Rantz Show, joins us now to dig deeper into this. The scale of fraud and how it's just everywhere that you can find it, there's more of it. And even in Columbus, Ohio, the amount of fraud is just spectacular.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that Democrats have set up this system that is intended for fraud, or at a bare minimum, they really don't care if there's any fraud because they're trying to serve certain demographics that they think will help them politically. And so they can throw in all of the money into various groups and then say, look what we did for you. Make sure you're going out there and getting organized and getting everyone else in the community come out for me when I'm up for re-election. We've seen this really take off. And I'm not saying it happened recently and that was that. It's probably been going on for decades. But the reality is, after COVID, there were a lot of folks who just took advantage of this and decided to just put out all of the money. And in that, by the way, because let's be clear, some of this is happening in red states and red counties and red cities as well. I think a lot of folks took advantage of some lax rules because of COVID. That's a separate kind of fraud that we have to go after. But I think it's pretty clear what the Democrats have been doing.
And it's very obvious because the moment that somebody starts taking from the government, that is a reliable vote for more government, which is always the Democrat Party. So the idea is who cares about, checking and securing the money and oversight? Who cares at all? Give it all away because their power is way more important than protecting any amount of money that we send to the government. And the funniest thing is they still guilt everybody about paying more. I mean, in Virginia, in the wake of all of this, we're not going to play the sound, but you've got Abigail Spanberger there, the new governor, talking about a potential tax on gym memberships, taxing streaming services, basically saying, screw you, we want more money. We're not going to protect any of what you send to us. We just want more pay up.
Yeah, and look, I think there would probably be an appetite to a degree, and certainly in blue states, for taxes that you're pitching only after you tell everyone we've gone after the waste, fraud, and abuse. And that's the real sad part about all of this, right? It's whether Spanberger or somebody else. They never come out and say, look, we legitimately have no other choice but to go towards taxing. We don't want to tax gym memberships or Netflix, but we're now in a position after cutting all of this waste, fraud, and abuse. We've got a growing population. You have these. They're not even attempting to do that. They're just ignoring the waste, fraud, and abuse, pretending it doesn't exist, and then just say we want more and more and more. And I will say, Democrats generally get it from the voters when they actually put it up for a vote. So I guess I understand where they're coming from to a degree. They don't think there's going to be pushback.
It's just, it's surreal. Jason Rantz, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.
Former Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino essentially says the White House is going soft on mass deportations. The DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin in his new position, up next to respond to that. And then later in news from the left, running for governor in California, Katie Porter's 1-2 punch, Ozempic, and really bad TV ads.
Now, could you guys please get out of my shot?
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's high absorption magnesium glycinate helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis? With fewer symptoms from moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, where would you go? Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. And for adults with active psoriatic arthritis, Tremfya goes beyond the skin. Less joint pain, stiffness, and swelling is possible. And Tremfya even reduced fatigue. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
If you want to be ready for summer, now's the time to call Sonobello. Sonobello helped me target the spots that diet and exercise never could.
Sonobello gave me my bikini body back.
At Sonobello, our expert surgeons remove stubborn fat permanently and tighten loose skin in one visit with less downtime. Every treatment plan is personalized for your body, your goals, and the results that you want to achieve.
Walking around this summer with my shirt off, it's the best decision I've ever made.
I see my spark back, and I am so glad that I went with Sonobello because they have truly changed my life.
With over 50,000 five-star reviews, Sonobello is America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist.
I love wearing a bikini again and not having to cover up.
See what's possible for you. Schedule your free consultation today.
I got my summer body at Sonobello. Get your summer body back. Do this for you.
And our flexible payment options make it easy to get started today. Call now or go to sonobello.com for your free personalized consultation. It's your life. Live it beautifully.
They tell you to optimize, to hack. But what if you were never broken? Armor Colostrum, the first food of life, reawakens your innate brilliance. 400 nutrients, 4 seconds, 1 daily revival.
We had a country that was dead when we had that group of people that ran this country with their open borders, letting anybody come in from the Congo, from countries all over the world. They came in from prisons and mental institutions. If they won the election, this country would have been a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
All right, so the president hammering immigration again today with a clearly secure border, the wall being built at a pace of a mile a day. But is the administration staying strong enough on the idea of mass deportations of all illegals? That's the question. A lot has changed since the deaths of 2 rapidly left-wing ICE antagonists. The subject of immigration has certainly moved into the background. You don't really hear about it too much anymore, which was kind of what they wanted. They wanted to get this off the front page every day. The official DHS account on X writing, under Trump and Secretary Mullin, the new DHS secretary, criminal illegal aliens are not welcome into the United States. Well, the former Border Protection Chief, Greg Bovino, we've had on the show many times, who retired from the agency after Minneapolis, replied to that writing, are you saying non-criminal illegal aliens are welcome? Why the word criminal inserted before alien? So according to DHS, last year, 2025, the administration deported a little over 600,000 illegals, close to 2 million self-deported, which again will be the best way to get rid of this issue. That brings the total to around 2.5 million gone in the first year. DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin joins us now. And sir, it's good to have you on in your new position. Good to see you again. Let's start right there. Are we staying strong on the idea of deportations for all illegals, or have we moved to criminal illegal aliens as a focus?
No, we're staying focused on all illegals without question. In fact, I don't know why Greg is putting that question out. If he wanted to call me, he could call and talk to me about it. I haven't had a conversation with him. It's very frustrating when people want to drive from the back seat. The truth is, we're purposely trying to be a little bit more quiet. I made this very clear when we were moving forward with my nomination that I wanted to get DHS out of the headlines so our ICE agents, our CPP agents, and all the other law enforcement agencies we have underneath DHS could go do their job without being harassed by the media. That doesn't mean we're slowing down even a little bit. In fact, just yesterday, we arrested over 1,900 individuals. We have over 60,000 individuals that are currently being detained, going through the process of being deported. Last week, we deported over 2,700. We're getting slowed down a little bit because of some of our court issues. We're working through that. But we haven't missed a beat. We're still on track, pushing as hard as we can. We just are doing it in a different way by using local law enforcement to work with us. In fact, I had a meeting this morning with local law enforcement about our 247 our 287G program. that is very effective. And then at the same time, we had a meeting about the last administration. It was interesting to me, Rob, when I sat down and talked to my ICE agents in a different state today. They were surprised that we were leaning in so hard, because underneath the Biden administration, they couldn't even go pick up individuals when local law enforcement would hold them. And they were having a hard time deporting individuals once they got released from the prison sentence. We are leaning extremely hard in that. So no, absolutely, positively, we're not slowing down one bit.
Yeah, and Tom Homan, kind of repeating what you just said earlier today in Arizona, saying it's, mass deportation still coming. People that say that the administration is getting weak on this don't know what they're talking about.
That's right.
I want to ask, because we still see far too much violent crime, courtesy of what the former president did to this country. You had an illegal accused of killing this young woman in Chicago, Loyola freshman Sheridan Gorman. You had an illegal from El Salvador accused of stabbing 2 women to death on Long Island very recently. We're told the number of illegals in this country is around 15 to 25 million, as I've heard numbers all through that spectrum. Where do you think the number of illegal immigrants in this country will be when Trump leaves the White House in early 2029?
Well, we're going to try bringing that down as fast as we can. We're setting up special departments that's going over, especially kids. There was roughly 450,000 kids that are unaccounted for underneath the Biden administration that were left in this country. Right now, we've identified just over roughly 150,000. I think I'm trying to pull that number up. It may be 120,000. I'm trying to get my numbers right on this. We got a long ways to go, and we're going after the illegals. We're going to go at full capacity. We're trying to hire as many ICE agents as we can, as many CPP agents we can, NSI agents as we can. So we're open for business, but we're also needing people that believe in the mission, protecting the homeland. Please come and apply. We're going to train you absolutely the best, and we're going to get you out there protecting the homeland, which there's no greater mission than doing that, but we need your help.
Yeah, and Homan says that the wall will be done, and a lot of deportations will occur. That's going to be a whole new ball game. You're going to leave this country.
Rob,
go ahead.
Rob, on the wall, we are on track to get the primary wall up by hopefully June. It could be as early as April next year. That means the wall will have a protected border from the Pacific all the way to the Gulf of America. And then we'll start the secondary wall along that. And we are pushing forward with the president's agenda. And we're, as I said, we are not slowing down a bit. We're just pushing harder, but being a little bit more quiet about it.
Yeah. I want a quick answer because I don't have a lot of time, but I just thought this was such a perfect story. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, fighting for her political life, spent $250,000 in taxpayer money to put hundreds of signs across the city on public property, claiming it to be off limits to ICE. The signs are absolutely meaningless. They mean nothing. They prevent nothing from happening, from ICE from going into any of these places. What's your reaction to that?
Well, at the same time, she's begging me to give her FEMA grants for 2028 Olympics. So she wants federal assistance, but yet she doesn't want federal assistance in cleaning up her streets. We want to have a safe Olympics. We want people to go to LA and feel safe. You can't do that with illegal activity running amok on your streets. Right. She knows she needs our help, and she knows those signs was a waste of taxpayer money by $250,000 because it won't stop us from doing our job.
Yeah. Secretary Mullin, good to see you again. We appreciate it.
Good to see you, brother.
All right. Take care. The administration making bold moves on Iran, pausing Project Freedom, though, in the Hormuz Strait in a post that just came out late tonight, as apparently there's going to be another shot at some kind of a deal here, a negotiation. We're going to have that coming up next as Marco Rubio dazzles the press briefing room.
I cannot understand why anyone would think that it's a good idea for Iran to ever have a nuclear weapon.
Leaf Filter is America's #1 gutter protection system.
Because it's built right.
Leaf Filter is designed to keep debris out of your gutters and water flowing.
When it's built right, it shows. That's why it's Homes approved.
It's good to be #1.
Always.
Schedule your free gutter inspection today.
We've been building chainsaws for over 100 years. Now that century of cutting comes in a mower. New blade, same bloodline.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
IRS. 3 letters that strike fear into everyone, and for good reason. The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and being in debt to the IRS can have serious consequences. Oftentimes it begins with the IRS sending you a collection letter, but then escalates. And before you know it, you're having your paychecks garnished, your bank account seized, even your home or business could be at risk.
My problem was I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I was trying to take on the IRS by myself. I have 5 children, I'm trying to take care of my kids, and it was a lot of stress.
I owed the IRS over $10,000. They told me the possibilities of garnishing my wages to resolve this debt that I owed them.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. Well, there was nothing I could do about it. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
These stories are all too common, but thankfully there's Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 most trusted tax resolution firm. Optima's experts have helped thousands of people with stories just like these resolve their tax debt.
I owe $15,000. I only had to pay $3,500, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything. It was easy, like 1, 2, 3.
Since I've settled everything with the IRS, with Optima Tax help, I'm going to be able to succeed instead of just worry.
They sent the paperwork in for the debt to be cleared, the liens to be taken off. Now I'm a happy camper now. If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call.
So don't wait. Today you have options. Tomorrow you might not. Optima's tax professionals are standing by, ready to help you now.
For a free consultation, call 800-375-1215. That's 800-375-1215.
Optima Tax Relief.
Welcome back. Little breaking news coming back into this block. A new update from the president this evening on Iran, writing on Truth Social. The blockade will remain in full force and effect, but Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, something that we just started a couple of days ago, they're going to pause it for a short period of time to see whether or not they can get an agreement finalized and signed with Iran. So we're going to have to see about that. We'll talk about that here in a second. Earlier today, though, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, maybe the busiest man in Washington, handling yet another job, press secretary, really did a great job on explaining to the American people the importance of what we're doing in Iran. Take a listen.
I cannot understand why anyone would think that it's a good idea for Iran to ever have a nuclear weapon. Look what they're doing with the Straits right now. They're holding the whole world hostage. This is what they're doing with the Straits. What do you think they would do if they had a nuclear weapon? They would hold the world hostage with that nuclear weapon. That's what they would do. They would do exactly to the world with a nuclear weapon what they're doing now with the Straits. And I think the president's point is how anyone cannot see that as an unacceptable outcome and an unacceptable risk is beyond him. It's puzzling. And someone has to do something about it.
Plain and simple. Really effective news conference today from the Secretary of State. Tonight, the administration claims the ceasefire, well, they claim it's still in place. Clearly not much appetite to return to bombing at this moment as Iran continues to threaten, to antagonize, to even attack ships, including our own ships. They don't want to take the bait and jump back in at this moment. So the blockade on Iran does continue, but it looks like the Strait of Hormuz is going to close down here in the short term to see if we can get some kind of a deal. Here was Hegseth earlier on that.
2 U.S. commercial ships, along with American destroyers, have already safely transited the strait, showing the lane is clear.
CENTCOM has established an enhanced security area on the southern side of the strait that is now protected by U.S. land, naval, and air assets to help defeat further Iranian aggression against commercial shipping.
And right now, hundreds more ships from nations around the world are lining up to transit. We have established a powerful red, white, and blue dome over the strait.
Yeah, I mean, these ships have been stranded for 2 months in the Gulf, hundreds of them slowly releasing from the Gulf. That was until tonight when that paused for just maybe a brief moment. As CENTCOM updates on the Iranian blockade, 51 vessels directed to turn around, return to port to stop commercial ships from entering or leaving Iran, and that's what's choking off Iran's money. Former Deputy National Security Advisor Katie McFarland joins us now. Your thoughts on the update that we just kind of got ships moving again, coming out of the Gulf. We're going to pause here, and perhaps they think they might be able to get some kind of a capitulation?
Well, Pakistan is a sort of interlocutor between the two, and they've asked for us to, they've got another plan. Iran's apparently come back with something. And so my guess is that this is a pause. Maybe it lasts for 24 hours, maybe 48 hours to see what Iran has. And if Iran has nothing, obviously we resume Project Freedom and take other ships through the strait. I've got to wonder, though, about the timing, because remember, next week, President Trump goes to China.
Right.
The Chinese really need this meeting. They really need it to be successful for a bunch of reasons. But one of the primary reasons is because they need their oil. 97% of Iran's oil goes to China. Without the Iranian oil, China's really feeling a hit. Now they've stockpiled a little bit of oil, so they thought maybe a crisis was coming. But at a certain point, Iran's factories can't work. China's factories can't work if it doesn't get Iranian oil. So I'm wondering, is China making a few phone calls to Iran right now saying, hey guys, I don't really care about your nuclear weapons, but I really care about your oil. Come up with something serious and get this problem solved.
It's so interesting, and you just reminded me of something, but we were told that we were just days away from Iran running out of storage for their oil as well, and the idea that they might have to shut down their oil wells and their pumps, which would cause tremendous damage. Is there any indication that we've gotten there yet? And how do you think this is going as we look at this, more than 2 months in?
Okay, so the indications that we have that the oil is Iran's having a problem. Now remember, oil comes out of a well, it gets pumped up out of the well, goes into a pipeline. The pipeline goes to Karg Island, where it normally would fill up an empty tanker. The tanker would be full and then go on its merry way onto China. That's not happening now. There are no empty tankers in the Gulf, in the Persian Gulf or in the Strait of Hormuz. They're all full to the brim. They're not going anywhere, but they're full. Now, how much time does Iran have? Iran must be really feeling the pinch because they've taken a couple of rusty old tankers and they pulled them up to the pipeline to fill those up. They filled up some trains, container trains that they're trying to maybe get the oil that they're trying to store that oil anywhere they can because they can't turn off the switch without doing irreparable and extremely expensive damage to their oil wells. Yeah, but between that and China feeling their own pressure, and I think Iran is meeting with China this week, and then the U.S. is Trump's going next week. There's a lot of stuff at play here, so maybe something will change as we continue to watch this war. KT, good to see you. Thanks so much. Great to see you.
All right. They're saying Jeff Bezos finally killed the Met Gala. Good for him. What's up next?
When you're in the news business, it never stops. News is always breaking, and it's my job to get you the news, no spin, no BS. If you don't believe us, just watch us.
Watch Finity, weeknights, only on Newsmax.
This Memorial Day, we honor the brave who stood watch over our nation's security. But today, security isn't just about physical borders. It's about the invisible threats that target our computers, our privacy, and our peace of mind. At PCmatic, we're proud to continue that legacy by protecting your digital world. Unlike traditional antivirus that reacts to threats after they've already hit, our global allow listing technology stops them before they can even start. We don't just stop hackers, we also clean out the digital clutter that slows you down, making your old computer feel like it's brand new again. From American homes and local businesses to our nation's government agencies, we provide the only cybersecurity that's 100% researched, developed, and supported right here in the USA. PCmatic, Built by Americans for America. Visit PCmatic.com today.
Think you need a new roof? Think again and save thousands. We'll help you put off the high cost of a roof replacement for at least 5 years.
Or 10.
Or sometimes even 15.
We're America's most trusted roofer because we always try to save your roof rather than replace it.
We'll restore your roof for a fraction of the cost of a new one. But don't wait. If your roof loses too much protective coating, it's too late. Call now or scan the code and we'll give you an assessment of your roof for free.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Use daily dermatologist-recommended Dermend and reduce the appearance of bruises. Get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle.
My heart has experienced life-changing wins, losses, and countless miles. To keep living at my speed, I trust Cunol CoQ10. CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for heart health. Cunol, the brand I trust.
At Bright Star Care, our nurse-led care anticipates needs before they are voiced. We'll be there.
Mom jeans. She passed them down to you. But who passed them to her? Let Ancestry help you piece together your story with a family history membership and detailed DNA results. Save now at Ancestry.
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe Crohn's disease symptoms can keep coming back. Break away to what's possible with Tremfya. Tremfya can help with remission at 12 weeks, 1 year, and 2 years. Some had visible repair of their intestinal lining. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Break away with Tremfya. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today.
Welcome back. So last night here in New York, it was the Met Gala. If you haven't heard of this before, it's the annual New York Metropolitan Museum fundraiser. It is like the city's hottest ticket every year. And it's loaded with the most obnoxious people you could ever imagine. This year's theme was costume art, celebrating fashion as a direct form of artistic expression. And it was loaded, again, with Hollywood weirdos dressing about as weird as they possibly can, which is not unusual for the Met Gala. You probably see this every spring. That right there is former model Heidi Klum, dressed as a marble statue. So she is the most beautiful woman and has just decided to make herself look as horrible as possible to go to the biggest ball of the year. You had actress Sarah Paulson covering her eyes with a dollar bill in an attempt to call out the evil 1% who are blinded by money. Very interesting choice by a millionaire actress attending a gala that costs $100,000 per ticket. But that's the kind of hypocrisy that we just love Hollywood for all the time. Actress Lena Dunham from the show Girls. I don't know what that is. It looks like a strawberry, and it is strawberry season. I usually like strawberries. I don't like this one very much. Woke actress Rachel Ziegler, who was the Snow White girl, posing with a blindfold over her eyes, referencing the execution of Lady Jane Grey, who was beheaded following her conviction for high treason in the 1500s. I'm sure she knew none of that and was just dressed and sent on her merry way. And then you had Sam Smith, the non-binary singer, this huge dude who always dresses up like a chick and wearing, I don't know, evil peacock. I have no idea what that is. Despite the freak show, the Met Gala seems to be dying, though, and that is the good news tonight. The libs are all furious. The media is furious, saying that Jeff Bezos and the plastic wife who dumped a ton of cash into this thing have ruined the gala by filling it with boring rich people and turning it into more of a, I don't know, rich finance tech affair than it usually is. I'm sure it sucks either way. Katie Zacharia is a political analyst. Lauren is a podcaster. They're both with us tonight to talk about this and maybe one or two other topics as well. Katie, your thoughts on the Bezos couple destroying the Met Gala?
Well, the Met Gala was pretty much destroyed altogether. Look at those costumes. You said strawberry. This looks like Sesame Street meets Muppets Gone Bad. And let's just be honest. This is a dystopian Hunger Games, like 1984 nightmare of people. They're all socialist, sitting there proclaiming this high value of society, mad at the Bezos. Meanwhile, how much did Heidi Klum's dress cost? Like tens of thousands of dollars, if you can call it a dress. And she snubs, you know, the great First Lady and all of these other people. So this is just disgusting. It really is Hunger Games on steroids.
It's such there's so much comedy to this link, and that's what I love about the Met Gala. It's a fundraiser for the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is a spectacular museum that I absolutely love. But if you are one of these woke goobers that sits here and screams about poor people in Gaza all the time, this is the last place in the frickin' world that needs a fundraiser like this, that needs all of this huge influx of cash. This is the last place it needs to go, which is why it's so funny to watch them all go there.
Well, what's interesting is I don't understand all the protesting this year for the Met Gala. It's been this way for decades. It's the one night a year where all these ridiculous celebrities traipse up and down a staircase in clown outfits, and we get to sit at home in our sweatpants and judge them. And with everything going on in the world, I could use a little bit of escapism. Let me look at them and laugh and gawk. And one thing the Met Gala showed, money can't buy you class or taste. I have never felt better about my fashion than seeing Heidi Klum dressed up as some weird spirit Halloween costume. Kris Jenner was in like a Mrs. Roper caftan. Madonna had the ship from Pirates of the Caribbean on her head. These people are clowns, and the tragedy is they haven't caught on to the fact that none of us care anymore, and they have no influence in the culture.
And what happened to Madonna? I mean, I absolutely loved Madonna. I mean, she was one of the most talented people that I've ever seen. She wrote all those songs.
You loved her 5 faces ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, a long time ago. It's so sad to see the downfall. You don't want to watch that. I want to switch gears here for a second. I want to hit something else completely off topic here. I want to talk about Samuel Alito, the justice, who has had enough of Ketanji Brown Jackson and her ridiculous takes, her ridiculous dissents in this Supreme Court. Alito torching Biden's DEI SCOTUS nomination. Remember, Biden said he's going to pick a black woman no matter what, and we're seeing the fruits of that decision, calling her recent decision, her recent dissent opinion on race-based gerrymandering completely baseless. The majority, led by Alito, of course, determined that Louisiana's most recent congressional map is unconstitutional based on that racial gerrymandering. Katie, the charge from Alito is that the dissent from Ketanji was completely groundless. I mean, he insulted her in this retort to what she had said and really made her look like a fool.
Well, he basically said we cannot let this dissent go unnoticed. Like, we have to take note that it is completely baseless and lacks, what he said, it lacks restraint. And it really, that type of opinion from Justice Alito, who is typically the more traditional writer, is scorching to her. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson hasn't been admonished by the majority of the Supreme Court. Amy Coney Barrett in Trump v. Casa said that her doctrine was tied to neither 2 centuries of history or the Constitution itself. This woman is not meant to be on the Supreme Court of the United States. And quite frankly, Rob, it's embarrassing to read what she's putting forth in these opinions that will be there for generations.
And Link, I got 10 seconds, but it's an activist. This is not a Supreme Court justice. This is an activist that got onto the Supreme Court.
Why are we shocked? Ketanji Brown Jackson can't even define what a woman is. She doesn't know basic biology. She's off performing on Broadway using the Supreme Court as some kind of Make-A-Wish foundation. So I don't know why we even think there's a bar for Ketanji Brown Jackson.
No, I agree with you there. Link and Katie, good to see you both. Thanks so much. Got a little breaking news before we go to break. Newsmax projecting Vivek Ramaswamy winning the Republican primary for governor in the great state of Ohio. So maybe we'll be replacing Mike DeWine here very soon. J.D. Vance was there earlier to vote for him, his home state, Vance from Cincinnati. Some good news coming for the state of Ohio, perhaps. All right, the Obamas have a terrible marriage. Wait till you hear who Barack is blaming.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
I'm Yalmer Heinrich. I'm in the nutritional business, primarily selling plant-derived minerals. Now, after being in this business for 43 years, owning a cancer hospital in Mexico, and associating with some of the most knowledgeable nutritional people in the world, I came to this conclusion. The world is sick due to a lack of minerals in our food, which is caused by a lack of minerals in topsoil. There is an incredible and proven nutritional product on the market that can overcome this problem. It's Immuno 150. This unusual food supplement contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 additional nutrients. There's nothing like it. Now watch the 3 videos on our website and place your order for what may be the best food supplement in the world. Now Immuno 150 is different, it's real, it's powerful, it's helped thousands, and we believe it enjoys the highest reorder rate in the industry. Thank you and God bless.
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. Sono Bello changed that in one visit.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just one visit, total body transformation everyone is talking about.
I am super happy with my results.
I decided to give Sono Bello a try. Look at me, I have a silhouette. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is Sono Bello's breakthrough 360-degree body lift alternative. Our body contouring experts sculpt, tighten, and lift your stomach, waist, thighs, and backside, all in just one visit with less downtime.
Sono Bello targeted the areas diet and exercise could not do. I found me again.
Sono Bello has over 50,000 5-star reviews, and Lift EX is exclusively available at Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist. Book your free, personalized consultation today. Easy monthly plans make your best body more affordable than ever.
This year is my year thanks to Sono Bello.
Call Sono Bello for your free consultation today.
Mike Hammond of Signal Relief. We've helped nearly 700,000 feel relief in their back, shoulders, and knees with our technology. But for many of us, it's our feet that hurt. And when they hurt, our walks get shorter, activities are skipped, and the moments we love start slipping away. That's why we created the Signal Step, a patent-pending insole built using the same proven technology people already trust from Signal Relief. Signal uses no drugs. There's nothing on the market like it. It's relief without the side effects. It's reusable, fits virtually into any shoe, and in a recent study, over 85% felt relief, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Feel relief with every step. If you're hurting, go to signalstep.com and get relief today.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. With the California gubernatorial primary coming up very soon, Congressman Katie Porter from California, famous for berating her staffers and having no redeeming qualities whatsoever, has a new ad out showing off her Ozempic body and showcasing her very unappealing personality. Watch how bad this ad is.
Porter, and I'm not like most people who run for governor. I actually get what you're going through. A single mom of 3 kids, I know what it's like to push the shopping cart. My minivan has almost 200,000 miles. I have a grown kid who may soon be living on my couch. To give Californians what they need, it's going to take standing up to Donald Trump, calling out greedy corporations, and stepping on some toes along the way. Now, could you guys please get out of my shot?
It's such a generic, awful ad in so many different ways from a very awful politician as well, who's just dying in the polls, dying on the vine. Katie Porter, very much deserved. Next up, former President Obama and Michelle really struggling in the marriage, and Barry is blaming it all on Donald Trump. Barack admitting the pressure on him to keep politically active during the Trump administration has created tension with him and the First Lady. Obama telling the New Yorker the demands of his schedule are concerning Michelle. She wants to see her husband easing up and spending more time with her, enjoying what remains of their lives. Michelle, maybe Barry doesn't want to spend as much time with you. It does create a genuine tension in our household. He says it frustrates her. Of course, it's Trump's fault because, of course, it's Trump's fault. And finally, a Democrat in Chicago calling for Walgreens corporate to face charges after they shut down a location in his district that was just being looted nonstop.
Walgreens should be charged with first-degree corporate abandonment. It should be a crime the way they're treating our families. So is it true that folks are stealing? They're stealing everywhere. Because when you cut jobs in people's communities and folks want to figure out how do I provide for my kids or if I can go to a store and steal a loaf of bread. Is stealing right? No. But what's wrong is first-degree corporate abandonment.
I think Walgreens should say, you know what? I think you should rob that guy's house every night. And if he says anything, we're going to sue him. Sports Day at the White House up next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by MagnaLife Pain Relieving Foot Cream to target neuropathy symptoms.
The stabbing, burning pain in your feet is real. Here's what real customers have to say about MagnaLife Pain Relieving Foot Cream, the only thing that works for my diabetic neuropathy.
Available in foot care and diabetic aisles.
Protect your family. Buy LifeVac now.
Thank you, Daddy.
That was us over 10 years ago from LifeVac's first commercial in our living room.
Now LifeVac has saved 5,000 lives all over the world. All these people were saved by LifeVac.
Thousands of people choke to death every year, one child every 5 days.
These tragedies don't have to happen. LifeVac is the only FDA-authorized anti-choking device. Please consider protecting yourself, your family, your community. Go to lifevac.com today.
Thanks, Dad.
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside of me.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone, building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about newer sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Help see more of the light inside of me.
Big news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax all the time, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your broker advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America.
And finally tonight, Sports Day at the White House. The president hosting Bryson DeChambeau, golf legend Gary Player. They are good friends. MLB pitcher Noah Syndergaard, and a whole lot of kids canceling the Obama administration's student health program, reinstating the presidential fitness test to schools across the country. We're going to start getting these kids back in shape. Here was Trump with the kids.
I'm doing football right now, and next year I'm going to be trying to do powerlifting.
And you'll never compete against women in powerlifting.
No, sir.
Did you see that they had a man powerlifter, and he decided to go the opposite direction? He broke the record by 118 pounds. Think that's fair? Yeah. So I don't think we'll have to worry about you.
Yes, sir.
You're going to do good.
He's telling the transgender powerlifter the joke where he puts the thing up. He didn't go that far, but he also gave golf lessons to the kids at the White House lawn, and then he taught them all how to do the Trump dance. Had the YMCA playing there. A group of guys. It was probably a fun day to be at the White House, Rob Finnerty. And, taught him how to putt, too. He's a very good putter.
Yeah, he's good around the greens.
His short game is great. Yeah.
Lot of gimmies, I'll be honest. If it's like within 10 feet, he picks it up.
The famous 6-foot Trump gimme.
I heard,
to his credit, he makes that putt most of the time.
Micah Ruzioni, 80 Olympic team, was on Finnerty, and he said, you know what, when you're the president, I guess you get to do stuff like that. And I was like, actually, that is a good point, and you are right. Rob, good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you again. I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
I missed you.
It's Cinco de Mayo. I got to go get a taco.
On Taco Tuesday, right?
On Taco Tuesday.
Tremendous. All right. Finnerty starts right now. See you later, Rob.
All right.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.